Good evening and welcome. I'm calling this meeting of the Germantown School Board to order at 7:04. If you're able, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Official meeting notification, Mr. Stouslin.
Yes, public notice of all meetings has been given by communication from the superintendent's office to the public, to those news media who have requested such notices, to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Northwest Now, Express News, and West Bend Daily News. Public notice has also been posted in schools throughout the district and on the gsdwi.org website, as well as cable access channel 96.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Barney.
Medved.
Here.
Loth.
Here.
Myself, I'm here. Reineman.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
And Borden and Soderberg are absent excused.
Could I have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are moving on to citizen comment. We have one individual signed up, Mr. Heffley.
You skipped over minutes. I got the wrong one.
Take this off, if that's okay.
Sure.
Here. Thank you for the time, as always. My comments tonight, I have three of my own, but there's one that was brought to my attention. Interesting that's happened since I started coming to board meetings. Now people are reaching out to me. I don't know why. People I've known for years, people I don't know, asking if I know what's going on. And again, I don't know why. But maybe they think I know. So who knows? So this was really brought up because I got about 4 or 5 emails from people asking me questions that I can't answer, and I said I'll bring them along to you guys. And this comes out of the ad hoc committee meeting, which I think was a week or two ago, the one that was held on a Wednesday afternoon, I think at 4:30, in relation to an incident at the high school. I'm sure that's well covered. We don't need to go into that. But I was asked that we have this new council, ACE, something like that. And I was asked who was on that council. I have no idea. I don't think it's out there. So I was asked, do you know who's on the council? I said, I don't know. And I said, who are the members? Can I come to a meeting? And I said, I just asked, so maybe you guys can answer that. I don't know. So I was asked that, and I was asked 2 other things. 2 people asked me why, and I don't know why they're asking me, they should be asking you guys, but they asked me. And I said, they asked me why the principal of the high school where the incident occurred wasn't available at the ad hoc meeting and the board meeting for questions regarding to the incident. Again, how would I know? The last thing that was brought to my attention or asked to me was, there was a 24-hour notice of this meeting on a Wednesday at 4:30. Again, some people I think wanted to go but couldn't because of the time. They wanted to know when something that important was going on, a discussion of things going on in the community, why it wasn't taped, videotaped, taped on a phone or something so that they could see what happened, because I believe there was some sort of a report at the board meeting. I wasn't able to attend either one, so I wasn't there, but that's what I was asked. So I'm bringing that to you guys because you should know that it was asked, and I don't know why they think I know, again, because I don't. So that's from people passing information on to me to pass on to you. And the other 3 comments I have briefly are mine. So my opinion is that the board happenings emails that are sent out are, I mean, I get them. They really don't say a whole lot. They're not really in depth. And I know, okay, maybe they're not supposed to be. It'd be nice if there was a couple things that were brought to the attention there that were things that were talked about, things that we're concerned about, something to get people to read those, because it's okay to send out 4,000 emails. But I mean, I feel like I'm engaged and I don't get anything out of those emails. It's just kind of like, well, so-and-so talked about this, whatever. It's not, there's no in-depth. And then if you want in-depth, you got to go dig on a website, or you have to watch it live stream, which people can't, they don't have time to do it. I mean, there's people watching live stream, but it's not like 1,000 people are watching live stream. So again, why can't we put something out something interesting that was brought up, good or bad or whatever, and just give people some more information so we can engage more people if that's what you want. And I don't know if that's what you want, but that would get more people engaged. So I feel that this is my own personal feeling. I've been coming to these meetings since July or August, 8 months. I think the committee meetings are where the real work of this board is done. That's how it works on most boards. I've run boards myself. I've been president of things. The committees are where all the work is done. Well, you know, a lot of the work is done, and then the board meetings are more procedural in nature. That's what it is. We're approving this, we're agreeing to that, but the committees are where you dig in. That's where the real information is found out about it. But if somebody wants to really know, we don't videotape our committee meetings. Other than the ones, I don't even know if we do the ones right before the board meeting. We certainly should do those. We have video set up. But I really think that we should, if you want to talk about transparency, communication, I think we should videotape somehow all committee meetings and make it available to whoever wants to see it. Doesn't matter who. That is transparency. That is communication. Okay? Because these board meetings, and it's not your fault, it's a structure of it. Well, let's approve donations. Okay? Let's thank the people that retired. I mean, you have to do that, and you should do that, right? But that's not digging into what's going on with the budget. That's not digging into how we're handling things with the ACE Council. It's not digging in like that, and I think you should do that. But again, this is me talking, so you know, it's my input. The next thing is, I can't for the life of me figure out why on this board, some people think Go G-Town, Go Great isn't great at all, and a couple of you guys think it's great. I mean, what is it supposed to be used for? I know what it's used for in the community because I hear feedback. It's where parents are going to get information. Now, good information, sure. Bad information, hey, it's a public website. But the admins on that website are pretty darn good. They don't allow crackpot stuff going on. They really don't. So I feel it's a resource. And I think that if this board wants to be more transparent and use communication, that everybody should feel up there that they can post on that website, because people watch that all the time. I don't know what the counts are, but we had a parent came on there and said, hey, is there a curfew in Germantown? Well, somebody knew. That's sharing of information, that we're in the digital age. I think we got to do more of that. That's what I think. So the final one is, and I'm the finance guy, allegedly, so I see a lot of press out there about the pandemic is why our budget is screwed up, okay? I'm not saying the pandemic didn't contribute to that. The pandemic pushed our budget worse than it was, but our budget was in my opinion, a tailspin far before COVID, okay? And why do I say that? And again, I don't want to come up here and just say, well, this is what I think, but I don't know, okay? Our total enrollment numbers in this district have been dropping for the last 8 to 9 years. Those are facts, okay? Those are DPI numbers. And I know we think that we're going to get all these kids coming in with all this building. We can't guarantee ourselves that. So we got to live for the moment, budget for the moment, and then if it gets better, it's just better, okay? So from the last meeting, a couple meetings ago, it says we lost 66 students from our district from the virtual option because they went to a virtual academy or did something else, okay? That's only part of the $1.2 million deficit that's being estimated and tossed about because we don't know the numbers. That's part of it, not the whole thing. The real problem has been, in my opinion, student enrollment continuing to drop for 9 years and our spending continuing to go up the last 9 years. And that's, referendum aside, that's additional borrowing that was done above and beyond the referendum. You all know about that. You're keenly aware of what we did. If we had a fund balance, okay, and I know now Brittany's saying it's 12.5, I'm sure it's going to end up a lot lower than that. But if we would have had a fund balance at the beginning of last year that was $8, $9, $10 million, we would have ridden out COVID, and we wouldn't be looking to sell buildings and do whatever we're going to do. I mean, we got to look at everything. But I'm saying that a high fund balance is not necessarily your enemy. Thank you.
Thank you. There is no one else signed up. Is there anyone here who would like to come forward and speak?
Sir, I'd just like to point out the, excuse me, the Finance Committee is videoed, and I believe it was by your request, Scott. And I checked before we did it. There was no additional cost for that because the cameras are already here, and it is recorded now. So it's available for everybody. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to item 4, approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve the March 8th minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are on to item 5, Mr. Stouslin, the COVID expense report.
Yes, I'm going to pass that off to Ms. Altendorf.
He's a little taller than me. The report Mike Nowak and I are going to go through today is through February 28th, 2021. We have been updating the board on a monthly basis regarding COVID expenses. As usual, I will go through the top portion of the report, and then Mike Nowak will go through the personnel or the bottom portion of the report. As I stated in the Finance Committee, but I will repeat it, we are going through expenditures and invoices that have gone through our office throughout the year, just to make sure that if they are COVID related, they are designated as COVID related. We did ask that as you're putting purchases in, please write on them that they're COVID related, but obviously some are getting through the cracks. So on the report, you do see that we've spent $15,697 in technology. That is not in February. That was previously at the beginning of the year, in which we are now making sure that the coding is correct. But the other areas, you see that we have decreases in our sanitation and prevention. We do have a mass quantity of hand sanitizer if anybody needs any. Social distancing, $171. Those would be more towards the spots on the floor that we purchased, those type of things. And then the bus cleaning, $2,600 for the bus cleaning. We did change the bus cleaning a little bit, so you do see that price has decreased over the months, which is a total of about $18,557 added to the consumables and supplies portion, totaling about $77,000 so far this year. Mike again will go through the bottom portion, but as you can see, we spent about $450,000 so far in COVID-related expenses, and then the CARES dollars or the ESSER dollars is about $70,000, giving us about $380,000 in net COVID expenses through February.
In regard to personnel, I just want to quickly point out the 3 areas, actually 4 areas of in-house subs, teachers on call subs, long-term subs, and then the bottom section, unemployment. We've seen drops in all of those areas, which is encouraging. And we hope that obviously those trends continue moving forward.
Any questions regarding the expenses? Okay, we will move on then to item B, the Advocacy Council on Equity. Mr. Stouslin.
Yeah, thank you. Just an update. We did have our second meeting this last week, and it is a brand new council, and it's still developing and growing. If anyone wants to know the members, they can just contact me. I'm happy to share that. And the next ad hoc committee is on April 12th, which would be before a regular board meeting, and those are taped. And the couple of things that the committee is looking at is equity across several areas, from professional development to hiring to curriculum to student advocacy to community. And so at this point, people have kind of chosen an area that they want to focus on or be part of, and we're still in the kind of generating ideas portion. We are looking for members to be on the committee that can help us be a more diverse group, and we have some community members, we have parents that have kids in the district, we have a couple board members that are on that, but and we have 2 staff right now that are on that group. So, but we are looking again for some more people to bring more diversity to that committee. The one thing that we've some ideas that have been generated already. One was to look at the Achievement Gap Consortium, which I've connected with, and we're going to get connected or we'll join that group. I connected with CISA 6. They have it's called Center for All, and they help districts create a 3-year plan. And I've got a meeting later this week to find out more about that. We had a meeting this afternoon with a gentleman and his group. His name's Reggie Jackson, just to find out about what how they support schools and what they do. And so we're really in a fact-gathering situation. And one of the comments that has come from the group is that everybody wants to do what's right, but going too quickly without a clear plan can be detrimental to the direction we're going. So making sure we're doing it properly, but we continue on. And I think after today's meeting too, just that the importance of a well-calculated 3-year plan is where we need to go. And I know Sarah, you're on that committee, and Amanda as well, if you have additional comments.
I think that was a good summary, Brett.
Yeah.
What's that?
That was a
a
good
great
summary.
Okay, thank you. That's it?
Okay. We will then move on to item 5C. Ms. O'Brien, the new GHS English course proposal.
Sure, thank you. I just had a board background on a new course proposal that the English department is proposing for the 2022-23 school year called Investigations. And this really delves into all matters of investigation. So students would be reading detective novels, reading investigative journals, learning more about true crime, going into logic, reasoning, investigative methodology, and teamwork really to solve mysteries. So this is a genre that has not yet been developed as a course at the high school yet. So again, it would be open to 11th and 12th graders. And then the cost would be approximately $3,700 with an additional $180 for some other crime kits, if you will, that they would be using in this course. So Jordan Ely, the department chair and English teacher at Germantown High School, is going to be presenting this later in April, and it will also be taken to the ad hoc curriculum committee. So I just wanted the board and public to be aware that this is coming down the line. Thank you.
I do have a question. So given that we're bringing forward a new proposal, is there contemplation of it maybe perhaps something that may retire at this point?
I didn't hear about a course that is retiring, but we are taking a look at kind of where our gaps are in the across actually all courses. And so the English department is really taking a look at where are some gaps and where are some overlaps. So perhaps that might be, there might be some courses that would either sunset, or we would take units that are currently taught in courses and maybe combine them with other courses. And then that would eliminate some of the courses. So we're just kind of looking at what are the options as we're looking at the gaps and overlaps.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, we are moving on to item 6, the Finance Committee. Mr. Loth.
Yes. The Finance Committee did meet earlier this evening, and we approved the March vouchers. There were no purchases exceeding $15,000. Brittany talked about the 2021-2022 budget. It's a moving target, and the state is starting over from scratch on that right now. She also talked about the elementary and secondary school emergency relief funding, and also the Corona aid relief and economic security funding. We had Steve Krecklau as a guest speaker. He talked about an extension of TID 7, and Brittany went over the February variance report, and that was it. And I think Brittany is not standing, so I don't think you have anything to add. Okay, very good. Any questions, or that's it? Thank you.
Thank you. We are moving on now to new business. Item A, discussion and updates regarding the return to school plan. Mr. Stouslin.
Yes, thank you. Just, you see this every 2 weeks, and it's really just a marker of where we're at. And if you look at our burden rate numbers, we are obviously much lower than we were in January. And overall, they're still fairly low. They've gone up just a smidge, and that's what the area schools are seeing as well. There's a few more cases hitting the schools, but not like it was several months ago. This just, again, slight increases in numbers. High school had a period of about 3-4 days where they had several cases, and a good number of kids that had to be quarantined because of it. CDC has come out with their allowable 3 feet of distance acceptable between 2 people wearing masks. In a fair number of instances with all kids back in school, we were at the 4 feet, 5 feet, 4 feet, 3 feet, depending on the class already. So it doesn't change too much of what we've been doing. And then the other thing I want to talk about, because next year, and I've mentioned it a couple times, but the possible virtual option for kids next year is, we know we need to do it. There's still maybe students who need it for medical reasons, and there may be some students who we've lost through open enrollment. If you remember, we lost 66 students who joined other kind of fully operational virtual schools. And one of the pieces we learned when we surveyed those families is that their child really liked the idea of the asynchronous learning, so they can learn at their own time. If they want to get up at 5 in the morning and cruise their classes, they could do that. And so we're trying to attract those students back, as well as make our virtual option for next year manageable. And as you remember, we did submit a charter school grant for our virtual school. That's for 612. We do not find out about that until June. And even if we do get the grant, it's a year out before we put it into implementation. So we're looking for something to fill this next year that can fill a lot of needs and also be manageable. And I'm going to ask Ms. O'Brien just to talk a little bit more about it, as she's had we both had some conversations with an e-school that's a possibility for us.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Selson. I just wanted to provide an overview of the vision for virtual learning. So as Mr. Stouslin mentioned, we are still looking at and want to be able to offer a sustainable virtual option for next year. And up until a few weeks ago, we were really looking at options for students in grades 6-12. So as I talk in just a few moments, we could possibly offer this virtual option for all students in grades K through 12. As the timeline on the screen suggests, we have an opportunity to partner with an established virtual school while we would plan our own virtual school for the upcoming year. For the 2022-23 school year, the plan would be then to open our own virtual school and continue to expand into all grades for the 23-24 school year. So again, our vision would be to create our own virtual school, but have this option for next year. So the possible partnership, next slide. So the possible partnership is with the Kiel School District, and the Kiel School District is part of the Wisconsin eSchool network, and they have been in existence for quite a while. So a charter school for grades K through 8 would be Between the Lakes, and then students in high school who would want this option would enroll in the Kiel E-School. And this would be made possible by a 6603 agreement, and Mr. Stousen is going to talk a little bit more about that and the budgetary implications of that. Next slide, please. So the Kiel E-School is really that school that Mr. Stousen talked about when we talked about students wanting an asynchronous learning experience, so that flexibility of being able to be offered 24/7 with access to courses and the flexibility that they have within their education. Next slide, please. And then also the Between the Lakes for the K-8 students, again, offers that high-quality curriculum, the flexibility to work at their own pace, experienced teachers teaching K through 5th grade, and then also experienced teachers in content areas for the middle school. And then also the Kiel School District is dedicated to hands-on learning opportunities, especially in these grades. Next slide, please. So as I talked with our virtual steering committee, we talked about the benefits to this partnership, including the fact that the Kiel School District is a well-established virtual program. They offer the Florida Virtual Learning as their platform, and they also use Edgenuity for their electives. Edgenuity offers quite a few electives in that area, but they also use different platforms to meet the students' needs. So if something isn't working, they do look at different ways in which they can meet those students' needs. The benefit to students would be that they would remain a Germantown School District student. So with this agreement, students would, while they would be attending the E-School or Between the Lakes Charter School in Kiel, they would remain a full-time Germantown School District student. Kiel would be providing the staffing, the platform, and they could even possibly offer Chromebooks as well. But the students here in Germantown would be able to still fully participate in all the co-curricular activities and the WIAA sports. As we talked at the virtual school steering committee, there are some discussions that we still need to have with the Kiel School District in terms of the following topics. So we want to talk about the responsibility of counseling services and who would be responsible for that. The responsibility for students who struggle to keep pace with the courses. We might want to talk about how to build in the flexibility if students would want to attend face-to-face classes here at Germantown High School, because they would be able to do that as they remain a full-time student here in our district. And we'd also like to talk about the possibility of how they would maintain contact with the Germantown School District staff. So those are some ongoing conversations that we don't have answers to yet, but are in conversations with the Kiel School District. Next slide, please. So this is where Mr. Stousen will talk a little bit more about the 6603 agreement, especially as it relates to the budget considerations.
Thank you. So one of the things with our, those 66 students that left us through open enrollment, so the state looks at each student with a dollar amount. So let's say each student is worth $12,000 in the funding formula. A student who leaves us, we end up paying, we get to keep $4,000 of that 12, but we pay $8,000 to that other school. The 6603 agreement, what it does for us is that student then stays on our books, and the Kiel school, their fee for the whole year is like $4,000. So basically we're keeping $8,000 versus giving away the $8,000. So it's a financially, it's a better deal for us. They do stay our students. And again, this is a plan to get us through to that next year. But there we might find, and I think we're going to learn some things from how they run. They've been doing this for 20 years, their school. So they set up a lot of structures and a lot of hurdles that they've overcome that they've learned from, that we can learn from. And you know, the other thing that's nice is that if a student leaves that semester, we don't pay for the whole year, we just pay for the time that they're in the program. And because we do have Chromebooks for our own students, we can either subtract $325 from our fee per student, or we can pay their regular price, and then they handle the devices, the Kiel School District would. And, you know, Brenda asked a good question to the school, because they sometimes do look for teachers to run some of those. So let's say we had a teacher that was 0.8 and wanted to be full-time at that 0.2. If they could teach that course, then they could reduce our overall cost that we would pay for the services. So we'd get, that stipend would then come off of our overall cost. So we've only had really one in-depth conversation, but we're exploring it, and it has at least right now, a lot of plus sides for us. And again, we could learn some things from them, and it's fully managed. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Tom?
Yeah, I actually have a question going back to the CDC's recommendation about 3 feet for students with masks. Does that reduce the quarantine radius if we find a student that's positive?
It does.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's great.
That should help, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a question. How about virtual tech ed? Any thoughts on, you know, some of the classes, welding, for example, really need to be done here, machine shop?
Yep, and that's what we talked about. So we do have a tech ed representative on the virtual school steering committee, and he was talking about, could we just have them come face-to-face for those classes? And again, that would be a benefit to this, is that they would be able to take advantage of those courses face-to-face here in the Germantown School District. There are the tech ed teacher did look into the courses through this Edgenuity platform, and he did say there were about 10 of them that are kind of hands-on, but they're really driven through a computer-based course. And so there are electives that are in the technology education, but we certainly could offer face-to-face classes for students if that's what they would choose to do.
For those students, would it almost be an open campus where they would show up for the class and then leave right after?
Yeah, so Mr. Lenner was talking about, you know, how that could possibly be scheduled, or if they wanted to take multiple. Obviously, the master schedule would drive some of that, but we would try, you know, to see what the student schedule could look like, such that they would be able to attend for part of the day and then leave for part of the day if that's what their schedule would allow, yes.
Okay, very good. Sounds good. Thank you.
Anything further? All right, thank you. We are moving on to then item B, the discussion and action to approve the Start College Now applications. Again, Mrs. O'Brien.
Sure. There were 17 students who submitted paperwork to attend a technical school. So remember, at the last board meeting, you approved the Early College Credit Program, the ECCP, for students who are attending universities or colleges, and these are for the students who are attending technical colleges. I believe moving forward, what I'm going to do to kind of streamline this process is wait until the end of the month, even though the due date is March 1. I would wait until this meeting and collect all of them at once, so that we have all of the communication happening in one meeting. But unfortunately, it didn't happen for this time, but moving forward, we will. So there are 17 students who submitted paperwork to attend a technical college. Many of them are still the nursing assistant program, and as you remember, the question is asked, is it, you know, cost beneficial to send students out? And again, because it is a lab-based class, we need approximately 25 students each year. And then we also receive reimbursement for students who do receive their CNA license. So that is a benefit to having students attend this program and then receive the certified, go through the certified program. So, and then we also have some students who submitted paperwork for some art courses that we don't offer at Germantown High School, and another student who signed up for American Sign Language, again, another course that we don't currently offer.
Terrific. Could I have a motion, please?
Move to approve the Start College Now request as presented.
Second?
Any discussion?
Yeah, just one question. If we don't get any reimbursement, what does this end up costing us?
Oh, can I follow up with you on that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll have to follow up with a dollar amount.
All right.
Thank you.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? That passes. Item C, discussion and action to approve teacher contracts. Mr. Nowak.
We have one limited term contract to bring forward this evening. Susan Beishank is a first grade teacher at County Line Elementary School. She's being recommended for this position as a result of a resignation. That's the resignation that we brought to you at the last board meeting. This is a 1.0 limited term contract for 58 days at a cost of $15,950.
Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the contract as stated for Susan Byshak.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That passes. We are now moving on to item D, discussion and action to approve the administrator contracts.
Yeah, I'll take that. So the MacArthur principal position, was open for next year, and we had 61 candidates that applied for the position. We screened through all of them, and we narrowed to 16, which we did short 15-minute screener interviews. We narrowed that group to 5, and eventually after the first round of interviews, the committee that we had that we used was made up of staff, parents, board members, district administrators, and we had 3 excellent candidates that we could not decide. It went back and forth, and we said, look, let's bring them back one more day. And so they came back in for an interview day where they were at MacArthur, and then they also had smaller chunked interviews throughout the day. And then at night, they had more of a formal second round interview where they had a performance task and some additional questions. And out of that really came our top candidate. And so we're pleased to bring forward and recommend Tony Gonzalez as the next principal for MacArthur Elementary School starting July 1st, 2021. Tony is currently the principal of Catholic East, a K-8 school, and has served as the dean of students as well as a second grade teacher.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the hire of Tony Gonzalez.
Second, anyone?
I'll second that.
All right, discussion.
Yes. Typically, when we approve a contract, we approve a salary amount as well, and I didn't see that in the background.
Yeah, no, we have that. That just, because it was just signed today, so it's 101,250, so 101,250.
I can tell you, Amanda and I sat in on the interviews, and boy, it was a wonderful slate of candidates. But let me tell you, Mr. Gonzalez really was head and shoulders above, and he's going to be a fabulous addition to our district.
Yeah, I'm unbelievably excited. The energy and enthusiasm he has for learning, for his students, for his staff it's just contagious. You want to be in his school, so I'm very excited to have him on board.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That passes. So we are now moving on to item E, discussion and an action to approve a resignation. I'm assuming Mr. Nowak?
Yes. Thank you. Jennifer Zimmerman recently submitted her letter of resignation effective April 21st, 2021. Jennifer was hired in August of 2015 in the Germantown School District as a German teacher at Germantown High School. A little further background, this has been some time in the making. It's the main reason for this is a family situation in Pennsylvania, and Jennifer has secured a position in Pennsylvania, so she can be closer to family. We wish her the best moving forward.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the resignation of Jennifer Zimmerman and thank her for her service to the students, families, and the Germantown School District, and approve filling the vacancy.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing
Yes.
none? Oh, Tom?
Do you plan on filling this right away, or are we going to fill it with overloads to, for the end of the year?
We have a teacher who's done some work with a German teacher who's done some work for us in the past that is interested in the position. It's less than 45 days, so it won't be a contracted position, but we're set, we believe.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That passes. Item F, discussion and action to approve spring coaching contracts. Mr. Nowak.
Thank you. In Mr. Nerdle's absence, I'm presenting the spring coaching contracts. This is the time of year when we bring forward all those coaches for the upcoming season. As you look at the group, you'll notice that there's still a few that are to be determined. We would ask that you give approval as noted.
Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the spring 2020-2021 co-curricular coaching contracts for the Germantown High School and Kennedy Middle School as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are on to item G, discussion and action to approve the co-curricular contract additions. Mr. Nowak.
Thank you. We're presenting the following information relating to additional advising contracts for 2 co-curricular activities for the 21-22 school year. There are 2 new activities that would like to form. One at the high school and one at the middle school. We are proposing a 5% contract for 1 paid advisor, $1,800 for a Health Occupations Society of America, HOSA group, that would be in line with our already existing group that is similar in nature to this group, which is Skills USA. The purpose of this group is outlined below. HOSA is a very popular program in schools in the area, in the state, and in the country. Purpose of HOSA is primarily for those interested in the future health professions. Essentially, it is an organization consisting of local chapters and members who are currently enrolled in and or associated with health science education programs. High school students would have the opportunity to do further research, support local healthcare needs through an annual service project, and compete with peers from the state on skills and knowledge of the healthcare field. We have Diane Sirmer here from the high school. She will be advising the group. Additionally, we're proposing a 2% contract for 1 paid advisor, $700 for a Young Writers Club. This would be at KMS, which would be in line with our already existing groups that are similar in nature, such as News Club. The purpose of the group is outlined below. Leslie Delane is with us. She'll be advising the group. Young Writers Club, this group would be for any middle school student who wants to become a stronger writer. Young Writers Club allows students to meet and discuss their writing, share feedback, and learn ways to improve their skills. We'd ask that you grant approval. I would also add that both of these are very in line with, in the case of writing, our district initiative, and in the case of HOSA, the interests and long-term plans of many of our students. I think they'd be a great complement to our curriculum.
Terrific. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the co-curricular contract additions as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes. So we are on to the last item of new business, discussion and action to approve the OT-PT services agreement. Mr. Lamb.
Thank you. Our current 3-year contract for occupational physical therapy services with Dominichik Therapy and Associates, or DTA, expires at the end of August of 2021 this year. Other service provider options were thoroughly considered during the spring of 2019, with DTA emerging as the most appropriate match for our service needs. Services used are based upon individual student needs as determined by their IEPs, which change from year to year and even throughout the year. DTA specializes in school-based therapy and remains a flexible staffing option. for use to ensure that the amount of staffing consistently aligns to our student needs as our caseloads fluctuate. And as you look at the 5-year history of costs that was provided, you can see that the costs have increased for the 2019-2020 school year, and that's because we added PT services beginning last school year. Nevertheless, the average cost per student has decreased, and this decrease could be based upon a variety of factors, including time of the year that students may have qualified or been dismissed from services. It could be based on the frequency and amount of services in their IEP, whether the time is a direct service to the student or more of a consultation to the staff, or even whether students are able to be seen in small groups as opposed to individually. And so we've done some comparisons with other districts to compare their OT and PT compensation ranges. And for those districts that hire directly, when factoring additional benefits to the hourly rate, the DTA rates are competitive. And for the 11 other districts who also use DTA, our rates would be uniform to theirs. And we did also explore how many FTEs we would need to hire if the district did employ OTs and PTs to cover the DTA caseload. While it's difficult to determine how many students can be served by one FTE due to the types of services mentioned earlier, the DPI guidelines for recommended caseloads is approximately 30 students for every one FTE. So translating that ratio to the services covered, to provide the service coverage for the 86 students that were presented in the chart for this school year, we would need to hire 2.8 FTE. And DTA is currently covering this caseload with 1.7 FTE. And also, as you'll notice in the report that DTA provided to the board, one of the benefits of using their services is that the services provided are based on student caseload needs versus committing to an established FTE for an entire school year. And another benefit that they offer is they have a pool of therapists for those situations that are somewhat unexpected, where a regular therapist is unavailable to provide services for the short or long term. They have a pool that they can tap into to still meet those needs for us. So we'd ask that the board approve continuing the contract with DTA for the 21-24 school years for OT and PT services needed.
Perfect. Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the DTA contract for 2021 through 2024 school years for OT and PT.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to say thank you, Todd, for doing your due diligence to really dive down and find out, is it worth it to have in-house OT PT or continue with a company to provide those services. So thank you for doing all that work.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are on to item 8, closed session. The Board of Education will entertain a motion to convene in closed session pursuant to Section 19.851E, F, and G, Wisconsin statutes, as appropriate to discuss Plunkett Racich PRA issues, personnel matters, and district land and property. The board may take action in closed session if necessary or appropriate, or entertain a motion to reconvene into open session to take further action if necessary and appropriate, and or to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Move to approve closed session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Barney?
Larson?
Yes.
Reineman?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Loth?
Yes.
Medved?
Yes.
We are convened into closed session at 7:52. Thanks, everyone.
Drive home safe.
Yeah.